Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar, Techno-Economic Analysis for Automating Your Data Center with Abstra, sponsored by Juniper Networks. Before we begin, I wanted to cover a few housekeeping items. On the right-hand side of your screen is the Q&A. If you have any questions during the webcast, you can type your question into the Q&A box and submit your questions to our speakers. All questions will be saved, so if we don't get to answer you, we may follow up via email. At the bottom of your audience console are multiple application widgets you can use. If you have any technical difficulties, please click on the yellow Help widget. Here you can find answers to common questions. A copy of today's slide deck is available for download in the green Resource List widget. Towards the end of today's presentation, we'll ask for your feedback. A survey will pop open on your screen and will only take 1 minute to complete. Your feedback is extremely helpful. An on-demand version of the webcast will be available about 1 day after the event and can be accessed using the same audience link that was sent to you earlier today. I would now like to turn the event over to Light Reading Analyst Terry Sweeney.
Thank you, Anna Kate, and let me add my welcome to this conversation about what you get for what you spend in the data center. I'm Terry Sweeney, contributing editor to Light Reading, and I'll be moderating today's discussion. As you already know, we're doing a deep dive today into Juniper's Apstra platform with discussion about how the data center must transform to accommodate unprecedented demand and bandwidth. You'll hear more about an independent study examining the economics and ROI of data center hardware. We'll be asking you to respond to a couple of polls, and as Anna Kate mentioned, we're reserving time at the end of the presentation to answer your questions. So please use that Q&A box so we get all your questions answered. Our presenters today include T. Formulu, consultant with Forrester Research, as well as Arun Gandhi, Senior Manager of Product Marketing at Juniper Networks. But before we hear from them, let's go to the first poll. We wanted to get an idea from our audience which of these statements best describes your own data center footprint strategy. So go ahead and click on one of those if you would. We'll give you just 30 or 40 seconds here to consider these. We're adding new traditional data center sites and capacity. We're reducing / consolidating our traditional data center sites. We have no plans to change the number of our data center sites, but are modernizing existing ones. Finally, no change to our data center footprint. It's business as usual. Arun Gandhi, if you were a betting man, any predictions as to how our audience may go with this?
I would certainly go with the top 1 or 2. That would be my position, but let's see what the audience has to say.
All right, let's click over to that. Arun, it looks like you would be well rewarded for your bet. Adding new traditional data center sites and capacity is indeed our top answer. That's curious. With that in mind, Arun, maybe you can get us going with talking a bit about why Juniper commissioned this study in the first place.
Terry, thanks for the question, and it's great to be on this panel with you and T. As you know, networks are foundational to everything we do today and have increased in size beyond anything we have seen before. Data center networking has become more complex in the last few years, and this added complexity needs to be managed. And as you know well, the tools we've used so far to manage them no longer apply. So the past was all about bending the infrastructure to the needs of the individual applications, but the future is all about building solid infrastructure and using the architecture as the foundation and then building applications around it. This means doing the same thing the same way every time without fail so that your infrastructure can be same and the operations can be uniform. And truly, if you see, the desire at the core is to simplify operations. At Juniper, the bet we made is on reliability by focusing on the intent-based networking at a data center level. That reliability would be the key to operations going forward. And with data centers being decidedly multi-vendor and, again, oriented around software-defined operations. So Juniper, as you know, acquired Abstra, the leader in data center network management in last year in 2021, January. And Abstra was one of the first companies to identify that operating the data center network was a key design factor. And I want to impress on the fact that Abstra is the only multi-vendor DC automation solution in the market today. And that was a design goal from day one. And as Juniper, we're actually committed to it. So now to answer your question, Terry, what we've seen is a great traction for Abstra from our customers across all segments. You know, you talk about enterprises, service providers, or cloud providers, and all geographies as well. So through this independent research, our goal was to learn about the tangible benefits our customers are experiencing with Abstra, and the results, as you will hear from T, are absolutely astounding.
Great stuff, Arun. Before we go there with T, let's maybe grab a little more context from our audience with our second and final poll, where we're asking our audience about what's the biggest pain point in your data center. Insufficient levels of automation, can't activate new services and features quickly enough, supporting multiple vendors is challenging, budgets seem to run out before the quarter does, or other. I guess we could have also put all of the above here, but T from Forrester Research, can we bring you into the mix here, and just to talk a little bit about maybe your own ideas about where the biggest pain point may be for our audience. What's your sense of this, T?
Terry, my answer is going to be a little skewed because I did the interview, and the 4 customers we talked to kind of gave me an idea of what their concerns were. So okay. I don't know if the other people on the forum will be having similar issues.
You've got an inside track then.
Yeah, so as of right now, and I'm thinking most of what they told us was being able to manage multiple multi-vendor devices within their networks, as well as the automation. Some also talked about configuration, consistency, and stuff like that. So let's see what people have to say.
Yeah, let's see what the results are. The multi-vendor issue is challenging. T, does that match up with the findings from your research?
Yes, that was one of the main things that all of the customers talked to us about. They pointed that out as a big value going to Abstra.
The ability to activate new features quickly enough is right behind that multi-vendor issue. So, thank you from our audience. Thank you for weighing in there. T, can we hear more from you? I'm wondering if you can get us started with some discussion about Forrester's methodology for this total economic impact research that you performed. Can you tell us more there?
Thank you very much, Terry. Again, everyone, good morning and welcome to this webinar. My name is T. Fomlu, and I'm a consultant on the Forrester Total Economic Impact team. So everything I present today and the answers I give during this webinar will be an abridged version of the full study that we did, which is Forrester's Total Economic Impact of Juniper Apstra. More detailed disclosures are included in the full study, so please find the entire study and you'll get everything that we got from these customers. So Forrester research has shown that over 90% of IT decision makers find value in business case. So the Forrester model goes beyond just total cost of ownership or return on investment models common in the industry. We add risk and flexibility into our models so that we can have a comprehensive view of an IT business decision. So to answer your question in a little more detail, Terry, TEI is a methodology that we use at Forrester to articulate and justify the value of a technology. Total economic impact consists of 4 components. So we do look at benefits. That's the added value, business benefits, and organization experiences. We look at costs. These are essentially the upfront and ongoing costs of adopting that technology, in this case, Abstra. We look at flexibility. Here at Forrester, we define flexibility as what helps to incorporate the strategic value of future investments enabled by the original investment. So now that you've invested in Abstra, what other possibilities can your organization find going forward? Then, of course, we add risk, which across all 3 variables I just mentioned, we adjust for riskiness and uncertainty of an investment. So everybody will not be able to have the same benefits as each other. That's why we put risk into our methodology. So what we basically did for Abstra was we took a multi-step approach. First, we spoke to Forrester's internal experts who are, versed in this industry. Then we talked to Juniper's subject matter experts to learn more about the value proposition of Abstra. Next, we interviewed 4 Juniper customers who have been utilizing the solution for at least 1 year. From those interviews, we developed a financial model and then wrote up the case study, which is available on Juniper's website. Again, we encourage everybody to go down there, download it, look at the entire study, then see how, they can adapt it to their unique situation. So I think that gives a general overview then, Terry, of, what we did for just being able to bring this study together.
Thanks, T. Walk us through some of the key findings from the research that you did with customers.
Okay, before I actually go into that, Terry, as you can see here, we did talk to customers from, very diverse industries, right? We talked to people in energy. We talked to somebody who was in insurance and risk consulting. And so a very diverse pool of customers that we did talk to. And one of them actually told us that, as you can see, this slide captures the sentiment of most of the customers we interviewed. This is what a data center architect at an energy company told us. Most talked about the cost of, time savings associated with operation tasks. They also like the configuration standardization, like I told you from that beginning question on there. So these are some of the things that we actually heard them say. So when it comes to results, we actually found that, after our financial analysis, that we got about 320% return on investment, benefits of $925,000, and a net present value of $725,000 over 3 years. To go into a little more detail on exactly how these benefits did show up, let's start up with, after onboarding Abstra, the quantified benefits observed from this investment fell into 4 pillars. So we had design and planning cost savings, deployment cost savings, data center operations cost savings, and tools replacement cost savings. Let's speak in a little more detail about each of them. Interviewees said that Abstra helped reduce the number of FTE hours used for preparation design tasks. They said Abstra is templatized and employees just selected options, thereby saving lots of time. The composite organization in this case that we studied witnessed $73,000 in present value savings over 3 years. The next benefit they talked about as well was day 1 deployment cost savings. They said with Abstra, configuring is done centrally in the interface, and they push out to the switches. This, along with less focus on cable ordering also saved FTE hours in the deployment stage of a data center. This study discovered that a composite organization saved over $72,000 over 3 years as well. The next benefit we also saw, Terry, was operations cost savings. Interviewees told us that Abstra made it possible to delegate work originally done by senior level engineers to junior level technicians. The Abstra solution supports multiple vendor environments and reduces the need for vendor specialists. So, they gave us the examples of in the past, each vendor that they worked with, they had to hire a specialist to actually come work on the devices for that particular vendor. To model this particular benefit, Forrester calculated the difference in costs between senior level engineers and lower level technicians in an Abstra environment. Forrester adjusted this benefit down by a risk factor of 15%. We did that risk because we recognize that like the diversity of operation engineer skills set within organizations, data center complexity, configuration consistency on devices within data centers, and other things like that, these can make the benefit, relative to different companies. So the composite organization realized a 3-year present value of $448,000 just from, day 2+ savings. And the final benefit that, we were able to quantify for this study was in tools replacement. Interviewees told Forrester that they replaced an average of 2 legacy tools when they switched to Abstra. They said Abstra helped with automation, configuration consistency, and has an ability to keep the network up and running. Replacing legacy tools showed present value savings of, $358,000 over 3 years. Terry, I hope this answers your question, and more details can be found from reading the full study posted on Juniper's website. Again, that will be where I always refrain more detail down there.
Thanks, T. I'm imagining there also were some unquantifiable benefits that you came across. Can you talk about other benefits maybe that customers identified in data center management?
Yeah, thank you very much, Terry, for bringing that up, because even though I talked about these 4 benefits, these were the ones that the customers could actually put numbers to them when they talk to us. But they did give us a whole bunch of other things that at that moment they couldn't quantify. We did not have, all the time to go through looking in every detail, but each of them said there were some extra benefits here. And some of the examples that they gave us was, scalability of data center networks. Interviewees told Forrester that Abstra made it easier to add or reduce pods. So this makes it easier and cheaper to scale data centers, up and down, depending on how you actually want to scale them. The second one they mentioned was they also talked about that multi-vendor device management capability, right? So we've mentioned that a couple of times. They didn't quite quantify that, but there's lots of savings, actually, the fact that they could manage various, vendors within the same framework, as long as, they have that backbone of Abstra managing everything. Then they talked about configuration consistency. One of the things we actually heard here, with customers who were, global, said, you go to their different data centers in different continents, the configuration is different. So actually being able to show consistency was difficult. But with Abstra, it's very possible for them to, you build a configuration in the central Abstra unit, you can push it out to all the devices wherever they are in the world, and there's that consistency, making it easier to manage their data centers. One other thing they also mentioned, which was important to them, was, operating system management and upgrading, right? So in the past, like they told us, they will have to go into individual devices to update the operation systems in there. But now with Abstra, only a few could be done at a time. And in big networks, it took weeks or more to upgrade device operating systems. This always caused problems like downtime or other connectivity issues. So with Abstra, all devices can be identified and the operating system update pushed out at once. This is faster, efficient, and more accurate, since Abstra does validation automatically to tell if the configuration is going to work with that device version or not. So you know right up front, if I walk away, I'm doing something else, this is going to work, or if rather than spending a few hours, come back and there's, a default out there. So once more again, Terry, I will sing my old song, go to the whole study, and you'll see even more detail backing each of these, things that we talked about here.
Great stuff, T. Thanks for walking us through both the direct and indirect benefits of this data center platform. Arun Gandhi of Juniper, this is going to be gratifying to hear. Tell us more about what your reaction was when you saw these results.
Well, thanks, T, for sharing all the interesting data, because it always gets me excited listening to the real customers what they have seen. But obviously, we were very excited to hear these results, Terry, and I'm sure you'll agree with me that these results prove one more time that we stand way above competitive products in the market as well. We've been hearing plenty of anecdotal comments from our customers in several forums, and their initial excitement once they've started to use and explore Abstra, but achieving a 320% ROI and less than 6 months of payback time is simply fantastic. And not to miss, there are several additional benefits that he uncovered in his research that the customers were not even able to quantify them. So I think we just excited, just jazzed up about these results. And thanks to Forrester for going above and beyond. Yeah.
Looks like we've got ways for our viewers to download or access the report. And anything more that you want to say about those?
So, Terry, the report is available, of course, as T mentioned. It's there on the slide as well. Please download it. You can also reach out to, and by the way, we'll be sending this the report as well as the webinar recording after the webinar. And also, you can reach out to your account team for the report. We also provide you with a business analysis tool for TCO analysis customized to your environment. And I would suggest reaching out to your account manager or Abstra sales at juniper.net for more details.
Thanks for that. That's helpful. We're going to leave this up while we go into the Q&A, so those who want to access it can have sufficient time to do that. Before we dive in on the question and answer part of the event, just want to remind our audience members that to participate in the Q&A, you'll just type your question into the text box located to the right of the presentation window. Just click that Q&A icon at the bottom of your screen. Super intuitive. This is also a good time to introduce Emmeline Wong, a Senior Product Marketing Manager from Juniper Apstra, who will be joining us for the Q&A section as well. Welcome, Emmeline. T, I'm going to toss the first question to you. There's a phrase that popped up in your research and possibly in your comments. Help us unpack the definition of this term, composite organization. What is that?
Oh, thank you very much, Terry. Within Forrester, what we try to do with these studies is that we just don't go to one company and hear what they say, right? And then we come out into the world and say, that is what it is. So we actually go out and we interview more than one customer. In this case, like we showed you during the presentation, we talked to 4 customers. And those customers were very diverse. You know, energy companies, insurance and finance companies, and all across the board. And these companies, too, were varied in sizes of their data centers, right? So I think one of them had like 14 data centers in production, and another one had about 6. So they were varied as well. So what we do at Forrester is it's part science. We take all of those feedback that we have from all of those companies and form one composite organization. That's where we come with that. And then we look through and we build a financial model saying, so I really don't want to use average because it's not completely average, but we play for all kinds of different factors to actually make sure that when we come out to the marketplace, we are saying, these are the benefits customers are saying they are seeing from using Abstra. We have double checked our work, and that's where that composite organization comes from.
Thank you for that. Arun, turning back to you, let's talk scale. How much does the Abstra solution scale? Give us an idea there.
Sure, that's a great question. So Terry, scale has got two directions, right? Small and large here. And the Abstra solution was built ground up for scale. So in fact, our first customer was Yahoo Japan that deployed an early release of Abstra across the data centers with hundreds of switches. And it now scales to 1,000 and in some cases tens of thousands. So as you see, we build the architecture from the beginning to fit the largest data centers so that we can scale with the customers and as they grow their deployments. So that's from the large customers' deployments. And then on the other hand, we have the smallest deployment that we support, what we call the collapsed spine, which is essentially one spine connected to two leads.
Very good. Thanks for that, Arun. We've got another question here about how data centers should evolve to enable 5G, which I'm happy to take a swing at. From where I sit, it's clear that data centers are preparing for the biggest exponential step up in available bandwidth since the big fiber gains of the late 90s, early 2000. And 5G is only going to accelerate the bandwidth bonanza that comes flooding across these platforms. Server connections are going from 50 gigabits per lane to 100 gigabits, switching bandwidth 256 terabit per second. Those 800 gigabit pluggable modules that may have seemed like overkill just a few years ago are poised to become standard. So in tandem with all this, analysts are already seeing more enterprise content originating from the edge. Some predict that by 2025, 75% of work content will come from the edge network, which is up 10% from just a few years ago in 2018. So data, like the workforce, is getting more distributed, which means the data center has to be ready for this, again, this torrent of metadata that 5G will accelerate and also transport back to the data center for storage, analysis, and processing. So in that vein, platforms like Abstra will help provide the capacity, the management, and the intelligence for both the data center and the edge architectures that service providers choose to deploy. Arun, a question here about how Abstra supports brownfield deployment. Would you like to address that?
Sure, I'll take it. I'll take that question. This is the question we get often asked. Short answer is yes. And customers can absolutely use Abstra to automate their existing data center fabric. And in fact, they'll gain major benefits when they do. Again, I'd suggest reaching out to your account manager or Abstra sales at Juniper, and then you can get more details about how to migrate a current data center to Abstra.
Very good. T, turning back to you, is the Abstra model that Forrester created going to be made publicly available, say, on the website? T, if you're talking, we can't hear you.
I'm assuming that they are talking about the financial model that we build the benefits out of. Would that be right?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So the model itself, no, would not be available on the website, but the study is what is available on the website for people to look into. The way we write these studies is we kind of explain to some level how we went about the process of putting this together. So somebody who reads through the model may be able to, in collaboration with the TCO, analysis through Juniper, be able to figure out a way of, determining how this will benefit them. But the short answer is that model itself is proprietary. It will not be on the website. Sorry.
Thanks for that. Any additional light you can shed on the benefits of Abstra? Was there other things that maybe didn't fit maybe so neatly in the categories that you had?
I don't. One of the things with us here at Forrester, Terry, was like the unquantified benefits that I told you about. We have to deal with time and being able to talk to the right people deep into the organizations to actually bring numbers from those. But I think there's a lot of benefit in those, because each of them actually told us, if you actually look at it, the consistency of, being able to have configuration consistency, it's worth something. It's just so happened that within this study and the time frame we had, we could not dig into all of that. So just look at those unquantified benefits. And, within each environment, you can see how much benefit there can be out of those. So I think the return for this can be even a little bigger than what we presented if we were able to quantify more of these things.
Thanks, T. Arun, turning back to you, excuse me, does Abstra support 3-stage and 5-stage EVPN, VXLAN reference designs only? What can you tell us there?
Sure. With the new release, actually, with 4.1.1, Abstra can support all reference designs, all data center reference designs. And obviously, previously, Abstra was opinionated, and we could only support 3 and 5-stage and EVPN and collapsed fabric. But with 4.1.1, it's all any reference designs will be supported. Please look out for a launch happening on September 15th. And if you are an existing customer of Juniper, you can get an early release in your hands and experience the cutting-edge features coming in 4.1.1. And once again, the release date is September 15th. Please look out.
Thanks for that. And with that, we are bumping up against our time. That's all the time we have for questions today. My sincerest thanks to both Arun Gandhi of Juniper and T. Formula from Forrester Research. Light Reading appreciates your time and expertise on data center economics and how we'll build to manage the mega bandwidth evolution coming our way. Thank you as well to our sponsor, Juniper, as well as to everyone in the audience. We appreciate you joining us for this Light Reading webinar, Techno-Economic Analysis for Automating Your Data Center with Abstra. Again, thank you for your attention and participation. See you again soon.
Terry, thanks for orchestrating it. Thank you. Thanks, Steve, for all the analysis and the report. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having us. It was a great ride. So thank you very much. And we hope, we presented the study as best as we can. Again, everybody who's on the, on the webinar, just go on the website, look at it in more detail. There's way more in there than what we could have covered in 30 minutes. Thank you.
Totally. And you were spot on. Thank you. Thanks, Terry.
Thanks, everybody.